It's been a long time since we last saw aliens blowing up famous landmarks in Independence Day, and fans are still wondering if Independence Day 3 will ever take off, especially with Will Smith back in the pilot seat. The original 1996 film, directed by Roland Emmerich, was a box office smash. It followed Smith's character, Captain Stephen Hiller, along with a crew of key characters as they fought off a global alien invasion. That film pretty much defined the summer blockbuster at the time. But things got shaky when Emmerich returned with Independence Day Resurgence in 2016. The sequel tried to pick up the pieces 20 years later, but instead of delivering the same punch, it fell flat with audiences and critics. Part of the issue? Will Smith didn't return. According to reports, he dropped out just 2 weeks before filming began, which led to his character being killed off-screen. Since then, the franchise has been in a deep sleep, with no official word about a third film getting greenlit. Recently, though, Emmerich sat down with The Playlist and was asked directly about the chances of reuniting with Smith for a third film. His answer wasn't exactly encouraging. He pointed out the obvious hurdle. Well, yeah, I've been like, Will's character died in number 2, and that's not the only problem. Since Disney now owns the rights after acquiring 20th Century Fox, Emmerich says the ball is in their court, adding, which is even worse, because they never ever did my deal. So not only is Smith's character officially dead, but Disney's involvement adds another layer of uncertainty. Still, Resurgence wasn't just a one-off attempt. Emmerich had big plans for it to kick off a whole new intergalactic arc. While the first film was about survival and fighting off alien attackers on Earth, Resurgence widened the scope. Humanity faced a bigger, meaner alien force called the Harvesters, and this time the invasion was even more massive. On top of that, an alien AI called the Sphere arrived, offering Earth a chance to join a larger intergalactic resistance against the Harvesters, who had already ravaged other planets across the galaxy. The plan was for Independence Day 3 to pick up after the events of Resurgence. Instead of just defending Earth again, the new characters, Jake Morrison, Dylan Hiller, Patricia Whitmore, and returning favorite Dr. David Levinson, would take the battle to the aliens' home turf. Emmerich wanted to explore that storyline a year or two later, suggesting the third film would have featured most of the Resurgence cast and expanded the world even further with new alien races and epic space battles. But here's the problem. Resurgence didn't exactly inspire confidence. Its lukewarm reception likely caused the brakes to slam hard on any forward momentum. And at this point, even if Independence Day 3 were to happen, it's safe to assume the original plans would need serious reworking. Audiences might not be excited to see a direct continuation of a film that didn't land well the first time around. So, the franchise is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Does it try to pick up where it left off, or reboot everything from scratch? That's assuming the third film even gets made, which, based on everything we know, feels more like wishful thinking than a real possibility right now. There's no release date, no production updates, and certainly no trailer in sight. Still, Emmerich isn't completely giving up hope. He's floated the idea of moving the franchise to Disney+, which might actually make more sense in today's streaming-first world. He told reporters that he sees potential in crafting Independence Day 3 specifically for Disney+, especially since the platform is constantly on the lookout for new content. A streaming release could be the perfect way to breathe new life into the franchise without the pressure of box office numbers. And let's be honest, after Resurgence stumbled in theaters, putting the next chapter directly in people's living rooms might actually give it a fighting chance. It helps that Emmerich is clearly still passionate about the story he wants to tell. He's got a vision, and even if the studio hasn't been quick to back him, there's always a possibility that Disney could recognize the potential for a streaming hit, especially given the success of other sci-fi franchises online. As for the emotional side of things, Jeff Goldblum recently shared a touching moment that adds another layer to why the original film remains so beloved. While watching an old scene from the 1996 film, where his character David shares a heartfelt farewell with his father Julius, Goldblum admitted he got emotional. Now a father himself, he said the scene hit harder than ever before. He reflected, "Now having kids myself, I can't imagine what it's like if they took a risk as radical as that, and I had to possibly say goodbye to them for the last time. It would be excruciating." He went on to praise his co-star Judd Hirsch, who played Julius, and even recalled getting choked up watching Hirsch in other emotional roles like Ordinary People. "You see how easy I am and mushy I can be," Goldblum joked, explaining how much he values films that make you cry. He even said his own kids have caught him sobbing during movie night. This kind of raw emotion highlights one of the more underrated aspects of Independence Day, the family dynamics. Sure, people mostly remember the explosions, the dogfights, and the iconic "Welcome to Earth" punch, but beneath the chaos, the film spent time developing its characters' personal lives. Whether it was Hiller's relationship with Jasmine and her son, David reconnecting with his father, or President Whitmore's bond with his daughter, the film made sure that these characters had something to fight for. And maybe that's why the first film worked so well. It was about more than just aliens. It had heart. Unfortunately, that emotional core was one of the casualties in Resurgence. The sequel tried to be bigger and more complex, but in doing so, it sidelined or even killed off beloved characters. Smith's Hiller was gone entirely. Margaret Collins' Constance Spano, another key character, was also written out. Even Jasmine, played by Vivica A. Fox, only had a handful of scenes before being abruptly killed. So while the movie may have been loaded with flashy visuals and new tech, it lacked the simple, heartfelt moments that grounded the original. That's likely why Goldblum's emotional reaction came as a surprise to some fans. People don't usually associate Independence Day with tearjerkers, but his perspective reminds us that even blockbuster action movies can resonate deeply, especially when they reflect our own relationships and fears. So where does that leave us with Independence Day 3? For now, it's still a giant question mark. Emmerich is interested, Goldblum clearly still has love for the characters, and streaming could provide a fresh start for a franchise in need of one. But with no official announcements, and with Disney holding the rights, it all comes down to whether the studio sees value in revisiting this world. Until then, fans will just have to keep watching the skies, and maybe keep a box of tissues nearby for that rewatch of the original. Because underneath all the alien tech and global destruction, it turns out Independence Day was really about the people we love, and the lengths we'll go to protect them. And that's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure to drop your ideas for future videos in the comments. We're always hyped to hear what you want to see next. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because we've got some fire updates coming your way soon on Independence Day 3 and other upcoming movies and series. Stay locked in and let us know your thoughts on today's topic down below. We'll catch you in the next one.